Alright, so finally I get to talk about a movie I actually want to talk about for the first time in 2 weeks, which is, Godzilla notwithstanding, but, which is X-Men Days of Future Past. I have to readjust my brain a little bit because we literally just got out of a completely different movie, but which we'll talk about next time. We just want to get the important one out of the way now. You look like you want to do something with the window there.
It's just, we got the AC running, so.
Oh, fair enough. Alright, just make it. The engine is on this time, so the car should not die again.
Yay!
It's like the third time it's happened. I accidentally leave it on for too long. I turn it.
So instead of killing battery, we'll just kill the gas.
You know what? I'll take that bullet.
Yeah, 'cause at least we'll be nice and cool and refreshing.
Exactly. It's a hot summer day. So anyway, X-Men Days of Future Past. I love this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's like the best X-Men movie released so far.
I wholeheartedly agree. Like, it's definitely like on par with like number 2, but like each one
I think it's much better than number 2.
It's one of those where like each one was better than the other in their own regards. Like, I'm still trying to decide which one I like more, but
you're talking about the original, the Bryan Singer X-Men movies, right?
Number 2. Like, admittedly though, I am probably gonna lean more towards Days of Future Past.
Yeah, no, I think Days of Future Past was much better, and I think it improved on X2 in a lot of ways. I mean, we're kind of pretending X3 and Wolverine Origins didn't happen.
You know who else did? Bryan Singer. Yeah. Because like,
we can't talk about Bryan Singer right now because he's in court. That's all.
Yeah. Honestly, I trust the guy. Like, he says he's actually got a bunch of evidence to like show. Otherwise, like, the whole thing is like.
Either way, not touching that with 50-foot pole or 50-foot lightning penis sword. But anyway. That's even more relevant in this case, actually. Yes, I went there. I have no regrets. Anyway, so X-Men Days of Future Past. For those who don't know, it's pretty well known, and this is based on a classic X-Men storyline, the same name, although it only has like 2 issues to its name.
Yeah.
And of course, there's quite a few changes. I understand why they made the changes they did, so I'm not really angry about it. This is basically a First Class sequel. Sequel to X-Men First Class. More than a... So I'm not sure it's quite as ambitious as a lot of people are kind of saying it is.
It's basically doing what the Star Trek remake did, whereas
basically.
It's a reboot. At the same time, it's also kind of... It's a requel.
That's a way of putting it. But the basic premise is you have... Pretty much it takes place several years in the future. Does it say when? Like 50 or so years or something?
Yeah, it was like 2000 something.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Where like Sentinels have taken over the Earth basically in a war with mutants, and all the mutants people who help mutants are in encampments or dead, and the only people left standing are the X-Men. And of course, we get
a select few of them.
A select few of them. So we get some fan favorites. We got Iceman who's back, and we got Kitty Pryde who's back. And we got new ones like Bishop is in there, and Blink, I think, is in there too.
Warpath.
Yeah, I forgot Warpath.
Sunspot.
Yeah, Sunspot. That's his name. I couldn't remember his fucking name. But
and I want to say those 3 were the only, or those few were the only new ones.
Yeah, those are the new ones.
Oh, and of course they brought Colossus back too.
Yeah, Colossus, even though he still has no lines.
I know. It's just like
he's like the inside joke. He's in all like.
Yeah, he's the Abe Vigoda from Good Burger. Like, God. He's just there.
Except he doesn't say, "I think I broke my ass." But, you know, that would have been a hilarious line for Colossus to say.
Yeah.
But anyway, how it goes is every time, like, the Sentinels are evolved, like, they can mutate into different powers and just basically use it to kill all the X-Men over and over again. But every time they do, Kitty Pryde and Bishop go into, like, a hidden room, and really, they never really explain how this works. Kitty Pryde managed to send his mind back in time. I don't know how he go from phasing to walls to time travel, but it's like, okay, I'll go along with it.
Well, it's been a long time, so, you know, she hones her abilities.
It just seems like a very different power set.
It does, but, I mean, that was kind of what she did in the comics, though. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, I understand. Yeah, again, it's a nod to the comic books. It's a nod to the original story, so I get why they went
maybe
that direction.
She's just phasing through time and space. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. I like Ellen Page, so it's okay that they gave her a larger role in this. Yeah. She had X-Men 3. And, of course, we're also glad that X-Men 3 no longer counts.
Yay!
Although I am kind of curious how they're going to do the 3rd Wolverine movie now, though.
Well, apparently X-Men, well, technically speaking, none of the other X-Men movies count now.
Well, except for, Well, except for First Class.
Yeah, yeah, obviously.
But, which is too bad. I actually like the Wolverine, but that's a whole other thing. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So, but eventually the guy that's like, okay, this isn't working. We need a new plan with, like, have Magneto and Charles Xavier are back together, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen. By the way, greatest, like, buddy actors ever.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out there. But, and actually good movies this time. Last time I saw Patrick Stewart, he was in Legend of Oz. So, yeah, he was in there. Basically, okay, we need to go as far back to 1973, I think it was.
Yeah.
Back to Boulevard Trask, played by Peter Dinklage.
Mm-hmm.
Great to see him getting more work, by the way. Because I love him as an actor. I think he's a great performer. But is killed by Mystique, and that sets off like a whole chain of events of of them capturing Mystique and using her powers, using her powers to adapt the Sentinels, which leads to the two power Sentinels we see in the far future. I'm kind of curious why this particular plot hole never came up in the other X-Men movies.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. It works.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, though, because now they never happened!
Exactly, now it works for plot. So
yeah.
It explains why she was so quiet in the first two movies, though, now that I think about it. It's because in First Class, she's a chatty Cathy.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. Maybe it's just post-traumatic stress. That actually kind of makes a weird sort of sense now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then after that, they sent Wolverine back because he's the reason they had made sense.
Yeah.
Or at least in the context of what they explained.
Yeah, basically is that he's the only one who could regenerate fast enough or his mind's the only thing he can regenerate fast enough by having to go back so far. Because basically, the further back they go, the more it gets, like, torn to shreds.
Yeah, so Wolverine's the only one that can handle it. So it makes sense why they went in that direction. Of course, Wolverine goes back, and I liked how, surprisingly, I really liked Wolverine in this one. He's very, very different than he was in the other movies. Much more, passive for Wolverine, by Wolverine standards, I guess.
But he's still but he has that snark that we've known.
He does have the snark, but at the same time, there's also like a more of a calm understanding, a little bit more.
A maturity.
Yeah, maturity, that's a good word for it, even though he's like hundreds of years old, so really kind of wonder about that too. But he has to go to the new school, like the Xavier School, basically rehabilitate Charles Xavier and get him to join Magneto so they can save Mystique and save the Boulevard Trask and save the future and yada yada yada. What I liked about this movie, first off, you can immediately tell that Bryan Singer is back in the director's chair because it immediately feels like back in the old 2000 X-Men movie, like right down to the opening credits and the music's back and like the way like the door opens on it feels like a Bryan Singer X-Men movie. I really like that. On top of that, I also really liked that for all intents and purposes, this is the first Bryan Singer X-Men movie where it's not about Wolverine. He's in there, he's a major supporting character, but the core of the story is mostly on Charles Xavier.
Yep.
At least on the, who's the actor who plays him?
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy's interpretation of the character. And I loved his story arc. He had a great story arc from beginning to end.
Yep.
I thought the whole serum fixes my spine thing was kind of a cop-out, but or just kind of a convenient plot device. But how it works is also on that note, I also like that in the past anyway, there's only a few X-Men actually in this movie.
Yeah.
At least in the past, and I actually liked that choice because it allows more focused storytelling.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at the fate of some of those characters from First Class.
Oh yeah, how they just basically killed most of them off screen.
Yeah, just like.
We don't want to deal with this guy. Okay, just get Red Demon dude. Okay, get him off.
Some of them I'm more surprised than others because like one, it's like Azazel and Mystique.
Hey, who says they didn't? It's been a few years since they last
true.
movie, so who knows?
Emma Frost, she's been more of a major player in the comics. That's why I kind of expected more.
Yeah, they probably just didn't want to bring January Jones back, and I can't necessarily blame them for that.
Yeah,
but I'll deal with that later. Anyway.
And the others just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, like there were some guest appearances from other movies, like Toad's in there, and Havoc comes back very briefly, and
that'd just be weird if he was dead.
Yeah, and what was the other? I think Tattoo was another one of the characters that popped up there.
Yeah,
or something like that. I forget the character's name.
Spike.
Spike was there. Yeah, Spike was there. Of X-Men Evolution fame, the only character to really survive that show. But no, like the way it is, like Charles. In the past version, is basically a broken man. Like he's addicted to this serum that lets him walk, but also suppresses his mental abilities, which is what he wants, so he's perfectly okay with it.
Yeah, and of course the thing seemed like a not so subtle nod to heroin.
Yeah, it was.
It just like
the whole wrapping around and injecting.
Yeah, just like.
Shit. But no. Sorry, there we go. Okay.
So
but one thing I liked about it though is, again, I like the same thing I kind of like about First Class. It's stuff we haven't seen in an X-Men movie before. Like the toll that Professor Xavier's power has on him is never addressed in any of the films. Or any of the previous films. So I really like that they kind of explored just like, what does that do to somebody? Like, how do you just take on all that, like, power, basically? Or just how the feelings and thoughts and emotions of everyone around you. And I really like that they touched on that. I really like that they explored that. I thought he had a great character arc. Of course, Michael Fassbender is back as Magneto. He's great. Yeah. As always, I love Michael Fassbender.
For me, yeah, like, I expected all that to be great. The thing that surprised me, though, was Quicksilver.
See, I'm in the minority. I thought he was kind of obnoxious. And I realize I'm in a very low minority on this one. I'm not saying the character's bad. I enjoyed his scenes fine.
Yeah.
But after a while, it's like, okay, do we have a point? Is kind of where I got to towards the end. Because after that, what happens is, okay, I should elaborate a little bit. So what happens is Wolverine goes to Xavier. It basically somehow convinces him that he's from the future, which is always astonishing. They always pull that off. And it says, okay, we can do this. We need to save Mystique. We need to save Raven. But we need Magneto. It's like, well, how the hell are we going to do that? I know a guy. He'd be a young man now. And cue in Quicksilver. I forget. What's his first name? Pietro Maximoff?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Peter, I think.
Yeah, it's Pietro, I think it is.
Yeah.
With an O. That's a comic nerd. Yay. All right.
Yeah.
Who is kind of like this really spunky. He's basically the entire comedic source in this very dark movie.
Yeah.
And basically just helps them do these fast moves. He has slow motion montages. I'm kind of wondering how the music somehow plays in the same speed where he's running. I don't know how that works, but I'm just kind of choosing to go along with it.
Yeah.
But he helps them break into the Pentagon where Magneto is being.
Wait, what were you a little confused about?
Well, like there's that scene where like where they get busted towards the end, and Charles can't do anything because he's under his little suppressant. But somehow, like Quicksilver puts on headphones and he's listening to music while he's doing the super speed thing. It's like, how is the music going at the same tempo in which he's running?
Fast forward? I don't know.
Maybe.
Because you saw what he did with Pong too, right?
Yeah, he did that. I saw that too. That made me question too. It's like, how does that work?
No, you can just reprogram the game and to like speed things up. So.
Okay, like, that's actually feasible.
It's like it's completely possible might have done that with the music somehow too, but either way, it was such a damn funny scene.
It was funny.
Like it's just hearing Jim Croce in the background while he's just like bing ding ding, just like doing all that stuff.
It was a funny scene. I don't know. I guess since I'm at least the Pietro I know from the comic books is much more serious characters.
Yeah,
I guess.
like.
So
like, I was okay with this interpretation because I had a fun time with him, and it's
I mean, fair enough. I mean, we'll see him again in the Avengers, so I'm sure they'll probably take him more seriously there.
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Woo.
I have no problem with Aaron Taylor Johnson. Godzilla aside, he's not terrible.
And Kick-Ass 2.
That wasn't his fault. He did his best.
He's not bad. He's just kind of.
Fair enough. I trust Josh Whedon, so
I'm almost just like it was a bad spell. So
that's a whole nother confusing. That's kind of curious looking at this Quicksilver and seeing what they're going to do in the Avengers.
Fun fact: both Quicksilvers were in the original Kick-Ass. They were the friends.
Motherfucker.
I know. I just found out the other day. I was like, holy crap!
Now there's an interesting crossover.
Also weird. I thought I saw Aaron Taylor Johnson in the end of the movie, like during that political speech thing.
Oh, that would have been funny.
No, like it's like right when they stand up. I see this guy. He looks just like Kick-Ass. I'm like,
that would have been hilarious if they actually had the balls to do that as like an inside joke between studios.
Yeah.
But no, probably not.
Yeah.
But where was it? Oh yeah. So anyway, I thought the duct tape thing was hilarious. That made me laugh. The part where like Quicksilver like runs in an elevator as the guard's walking in there. You see him in the reflection in the mirror. He turns around and he just and so he like rolls out the duct tape, and then he walks down the disguise, and the guy just horribly plastered on the wall in duct tape. That made me laugh.
Looked like a cocoon from Alien.
And of course, they have the kind of obligatory nod to the comic book fans. I guess,
where Magneto was his father.
Where his father, like they're saying together, he goes, "So you can control metal. My mom knew someone who could do that."
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah.
It's like I was fine with it though. They had to acknowledge it. There's no way they couldn't.
Yeah.
But after that, I guess what kind of comes down to he just leaves.
Yeah, that did kind of bug me.
And he doesn't come back. So it was like...
Yeah, except for like one series he's watching the TV.
He's watching the TV, so I was like, so what was the point? It's like, he's clearly useful, so why not just bring him along?
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of what bothered me. It's like, in the end, it seems kind of pointless, except as a plot device.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what bothered me about that. That and I kind of wish it took a bit more seriously. But again, Avengers 2 comes out like in a year or two, so I'll have my chance.
Yeah.
But anyway... But back to the story. Like, what I liked about this is that since the focus is only on a few X-Men, it allows them to give much more breadth.
Yeah, like, they found a way, to keep, Magneto considerably sympathizable, like, in his actions. Like, was it the whole thing when they had their argument about, like...
Oh, that was a great scene, like, on the plane. Yeah. Like, you're talking about the scene on the plane, right? That was a great scene.
Oh, yeah.
Like James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender just work great together. They have such great chemistry. And what happened? The scene we're talking about is Charles Xavier's on his private jet, I guess, because he has one, and he's obviously pissed off at Magneto for very good reason after the events of First Class. And this, again, I like that this was addressed. It wasn't addressed much in X-Men First Class, where he's significantly pissed for taking Mystique away. Yeah. Again, something that was only kind of wish-washed in First Class.
Yeah, which of course, though I do appreciate it's like, don't worry, I'm not much for violence. Hello, Charles.
Just punched him in the face. I would have too. It's like, fuck that guy. I mean, I love Michael Fassbender. He just plays such a good bad guy.
Yeah. So back to the plane.
Where
they basically have their little argument about, like, who abandoned who. And
and it's so good.
I know, just like, they show, like, it makes you understand why Magneto feels the way he does, especially.
Well, it's like you see both sides equally. Exactly. Because, like, you see why James McAvoy is pissed off. Like, he has very good reason to be pissed off. But then, like, Magneto just looks like, hey, you know what? You abandoned us too. Like,
yeah, it's like...
all these people are dead because you gave up.
Yeah. And, like, just...
And then you have that great scene. You have that great scene between James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart. Yeah. Towards the middle of the movie. Oh, my God, I loved that scene so much. I did. Aside from the obvious nerd factor of it.
Yeah.
And since James McAvoy pretty much has significantly more hair. Surprised they didn't make that joke again, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's, again, it kind of brings back full circle of what kind of character... I've realized I'm doing most of the talking here. I apologize. Yeah. I've really nerded out a lot of this movie.
Clearly. That's cool, though.
But no, it's like... it kind of captures what Professor Xavier is kind of as a character. Where he says, I don't know I can do this. It's so overwhelming. How the hell do you deal with it? It's like, being able to do that and take that away from people, that is great power. And I fucking love that, because that's very rarely ever said in movies. Just in general. Like,
yeah.
I'll let you talk a little bit there, because I feel like I've been doing most of the talking so far.
But, I mean, you're pretty much right. Like, this is just a great chance where they basically, explore these characters and motivations, like, why they stand up for what they do. Mm-hmm. And on that topic, I was actually surprised, like, seeing, even, like, these smaller characters, like, kind of, getting their kill. Like, it was actually kind of hard to watch.
Like, which part are you talking
just, like, the things were, like, every time the Sentinels came back in the future.
Yeah, they just basically just killed everyone.
Yeah, just, like... It's like, I don't know, even if you don't get that much time with them, it's just like, there's something that was just very difficult to watch about that. I mean, obviously, especially with, like, these other characters you've known before, like Iceman and, to a lesser extent, Colossus.
Yeah, I'd say in some cases, yes. I think Iceman was good as it hit me hard. I didn't really care much about Storm.
Oh, yeah, she was there, too.
Yeah, exactly. But no, like Magneto and Xavier, that one was hard to watch for me.
Yeah.
For me personally. Yeah. But what do you think of Peter Dinklage?
I think I did expect more from his character. Mm-hmm. Like, some of this has been kind of brought up, I do agree with this. Like, the character, Dinklage did fine. Mm-hmm. It's just the character itself was just kind of,
Yeah, I basically agree. They could have given more screen time, but I did like that his motivation. I thought his motivation was interesting.
Yeah,
like how he didn't just hate mutants like he did in the comic books or something like that. Like he thinks it can be used as like a fuel to basically unite the world against a common enemy. Yeah, I thought that was actually kind of interesting. If that was more explored, that would have been better. I will say this as a common theme throughout the X-Men movies. Is kind of getting a little old, where it's like all the movies. At least the Bryan Singer did this, and the X-Men movies did First Class did this, where it starts out where something goes wrong, there's a bigger baddie, Xavier and Magneto team up, Magneto betrays Xavier at some point, Magneto becomes the main villain, and he gets stopped at the very end of the movie.
Yeah. The thing kind of admittedly, this, I think it was the ending where things kind of like, they weren't deal breakers, but there were things that kind of like clicked that bugged me.
Like what?
Like, first off, just like, obviously Magneto knows about the whole deal that's going to happen. It's like, okay, because you've killed this one guy, that's going to start the chain of events where everyone's doomed. He himself is put into a similar situation where it's like, you do realize that not only going to kill the guy that stops something, but by killing the American president, it's probably going to go even worse.
Oh yeah, I forgot Nixon was in this.
Yeah.
They have a Nixon actor in this movie, and all I could think of when what happens is, after the attempted assassination of Bolivar Trask, they realize, hey, we don't have a defense against these mutant guys.
Yeah.
Because before then, Bolivar Trask introduces the Sentinel program. They dismiss it, saying like, no, we don't need this.
Yeah.
Until Magneto, Mystique tries to kill Bolivar Trask. A big hullabaloo happens. The mutants are revealed as existing and, quite frankly, everywhere.
Yeah.
And they like scares the government and the president. And they goes like, okay, let's fund this thing. I'm going to personally back it. So Bolivar Trask pulls out his 8 prototypes.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Which looked much more like the classic designs.
Which looked more like classic designs. I was a little disappointed we didn't see more of actual action with them.
Yeah.
But that's one of my very few nitpicks on this.
Yeah.
But there's a part where he gets on the podium and he starts talking, and all I could think of in my head is, what are you looking at?
I don't know, I'm just looking around.
Okay. There's a part where he gets on the podium and he's like, my fellow Americans. And all I could think of in my head was, brought to you by Charlton Chew. Like, hello, Spotty of Agnew. Or whatever the hell it was. Futurama is all I could think of. Futurama reference for those who have no idea what I'm talking about.
I am not the head of a crook. Okay, back to the review.
We all have freedom here. Yeah. If you don't pay your taxes, you're welcome to spend a weekend with the Pain Monster.
Yeah. Here's the other thing that kind of bugged me, though. It's like, theoretically, it's like there's a point where Wolverine's involvement no longer affected what was going to happen, yet the story kept going on, which meant the events in the present were still going on, but it's like there was no... Like, obviously with the story it had to happen, but like, in actuality, it's just like... It's like, wait.
Yeah, because there's a point where he no longer becomes relevant.
Yeah, and it's just like, wait, if that's the case, then the future's already been fixed, in which case things should have reset, he'd no longer be there.
And like fallacy, jeez. Huh? Point out the one logical. Okay, the one many logical fallacies.
I think what could have happened was, they go to that. That could have been one of the things that Xavier explained to him after he kind of came back to the new present.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how the conversation went now. I want to know what that little.
Oh, that's basically what the next movie's going to be about.
Actually, from what I've heard, the next movie is still going to basically involve the First Class.
Exactly. Like that's going to be part of him like explaining what.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, that'll be fun.
Yeah. But yeah, you see why that kind of bugs me, though, right?
No, like now you point it out, I cannot see it. I guess you can also make the argument that at that point it was really Charles Xavier's choice of whether or not to change things.
But here's the thing. That was all going on only because Wolverine was there.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. It's hard to defend it because it's completely true.
And so the stuff where like Ellen Page is keeping Wolverine in there, like all that stuff where like they're all about to be killed. Like obviously, like it was done well, but like in actuality, it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have gone that far.
But how good was that imagery with Wolverine, though?
Yeah.
What happens is like towards the end of the movie, Magneto inevitably betrays Xavier again.
Yeah.
It's just like the predictable thing we all can see coming.
Yeah.
But it's Michael Fassbender, so I don't care.
Basically, he impales him with like all these rebar things.
Not right after taking just a huge, gigantic stadium and just dropping it like around the president, forming like a big Sentinel battlefield, which unfortunately we didn't get much of. That was like again my one disappointing factor. Although we got to see Beast kick some ass, so that was nice.
Yeah.
But it's actually a very nice nod to the comic books. I read up about. You read that same article.
Where it's just like, because that is something I never read, but I knew about that scenario.
Yeah, same here.
But basically, what happened was in one of the comics, Magneto rips like the adamantium out of Wolverine, and so basically, it's like it was kind of a nod to that image.
Yeah, because it has like rebarbs. It's like all going through his skin. It's like the most gruesome Wolverine kind of death we've seen in the movie so far. Because I was like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
And basically just chucks him into the ocean and just leaves him there for the rest of the movie. Oh, by the way,
he does get pulled out. Though.
He does get pulled out by Mystique disguised as what's the
Stryker.
Stryker.
That was the other thing that someone pointed out. That's like, wait, they had apparently met back in Vietnam, yet here, they don't know each other.
Well,
and like theoretically, things should not have changed until afterward.
Yeah, but to be fair though, in the Wolverine Origins, the Stryker in that one was significantly older.
Yeah, but still, they were supposed to be the same people.
Maybe, I don't know. Either way, it's one of those things.
Yeah. Although, let's just chalk it up to them basically just not only wiping X-Men Origins, but pretending that never happened.
Pretty much,
which
yeah.
I am totally okay with.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, it has great action scenes, great characters, it has a very strong focus, and just a very well put together adaptation.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much more I can really say than that without talking about every single detail of the movie.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, one thing we do have to talk about: the end credit scene.
Yes, that little thing that we were talking about, but that will be explained in the next movie.
Yes, for those who don't know, at the end of the movie, at the end of the credits, there was this little short scene in Egypt where you see like just basically one guy with a bunch of people chanting. What were they chanting? I forget.
I can't remember.
It's
all I remember was seeing the 4 horsemen.
Yeah, the 4 horsemen, and of course shows like a younger version of who we know is Apocalypse, which is like one of the big, huge X-Men baddies. He's basically a god, so that's gonna be really fun in a couple of years. We'll see how they pull that off. I mean, they pulled this off pretty well, so I mean, I can't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Why they couldn't do this. Oh, there's one thing I do want to talk about though. Is I loved. There's also another few fun nods at the very end of the movie when Wolverine snaps back to the new present. Yeah. Where like the school is fine, everyone's fine. I'm surprised they got Kelsey Grammer back.
Yeah. But it was like for like 5 seconds.
It was for 5 seconds, but it was like one of the unannounced cast members in the movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. Rogue's back in there. There's a heavy nod to Colossus and Kitty being together in this one, which I again, even though Colossus had next to no lines in this movie, I liked seeing that.
Yeah.
And of course, you had I was a little annoyed they brought Famke Janssen back, to be honest. Jean Grey.
I knew they would.
Yeah, I know. At the same time, I was like, okay, I was kind of hoping the whole Dark Phoenix thing still happened. I don't know, but
because I feel like some of that stuff shouldn't have changed. Like considering Wolverine still probably has his adamantium, meaning that all had to happen. Like, it feels like some things still should have happened, but for some reason they didn't.
Like I feel like it was almost too happy. Like everything's fine, everything's happy, rainbows and butterflies and all that.
But at the same time, though, it helps us pretend that X-Men 3 didn't happen.
That's quite true. So, take what you can get. But that was really my only real nitpick, though.
Yeah.
Like, that and the whole Sentinel thing. Other than that, I pretty much had almost no problems with it.
And that little thing I told you about continuity.
Oh, and now you point that, I'm never going to be able to not see that. Like, I mean, like, a lot of the new mutants aren't really developed very well, but they're not really supposed to be.
Yeah, they're just
kind of there. So at that point, that doesn't really bother me.
As long as they didn't give a bunch of empty focus on them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's not about them. It's about the first class people. So it's like I was okay with that. Didn't really bother me very much.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big Bishop fan, so that didn't really bother me much either.
Yeah.
So although his action scenes were cool, I'll give him that.
One hell of a death.
Yeah. Just explode. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. You got anything else?
No, not really. I think we've pretty much covered everything that needs to be covered.
Yeah, so X-Men Days of Future Past. Best X-Men movie ever made. Final thoughts?
As I said, just, great character development. They focus on a lot of the themes of, like, what they actually go through being as mutants, like the kind of cost of, like, want to help these people despite being outcasts. Like I said, a lot of nods, which are nice, even though I wouldn't have got them all until I read them afterwards, which I kind of avoided, so for spoilers' sake.
Yeah, same here.
And yeah, there are a few things that just obviously there are the small things that kind of bugged you, a couple of the bigger things, but none of them were deal breakers. Overall, it's just a very strong movie in general. Like they really handled the time thing pretty well for the most part. Great acting. This definitely is the best that the cast has had.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, by the way, did you catch that little the nod they had of the previous X-Men movies they had with, Magneto's clothes? The part where he's walking into, the museum thing where they have his helmet locked up?
Yeah.
And he's wearing, that trench coat and that hat? That's basically the same exact suit he wears in X-Men 1 and 2.
All right.
And then, the 2 balls, kind of a nice little reference to X-Men 2.
Oh, that's where I remember seeing that from.
Yeah, those are basically nods to those previous movies.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. Now you know.
Yeah.
We'll be back later with Chef and Maleficent and other movies. Like, I forget what else comes out.
Maybe A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now you're not looking forward to it. You're all, oh, this is going to be good. I saw Ted. I like Ted. That's going to be great.
Yeah,
No.
then it's just like...
I was the only one saying this movie's probably going to suck.
I didn't say it wasn't going to. I said I was hopeful.
That's what you get for hoping.
Yeah, things are so bad when you're an optimist and everything seems good. How's that pessimism working out for you, Sergeant Sarcasm?
Hey, I was optimistic about X-Men, and I was right to be optimistic. I was not optimistic about 100 Ways to Die in the West, and I was right to be not optimistic.
Well, admittedly, how can you not be optimistic about X-Men? That's the thing.
Well, you're saying I'm pessimist, so you're implying I'm not optimistic about anything.
Touche. Right. So
debates about ethics later, or ethics and morality, whatever the hell you call it, later. In the meantime, go read a book. Read Days of Future Past. So, see you guys later.